Unfortunately, there are not many mentions of the trigger warnings in this book or the content warnings. So before this video even begins, I want to just go ahead and dive right into those first, so that if you watch this video, because I do talk about them in this video, and I don't want y'all to be taken by surprise, so I'm gonna list them right now. You have sexual assault, rape, difficult pregnancy, substance abuse. There's also discussion of suicide and suicide ideation. So all of these things I will have written down below as well. So now we can get into the video and let's roll it. I'm like feeling a lot of emotions with this book. I have everybody, welcome to my channel, Bounded and Bookmarked. I'm Jaleesa. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a reading vlog, but before we get into that reading vlog, if you are not already subscribed to my channel and you want to, don't forget to hit the button below, and don't forget to follow my social media accounts. I'm very active on Twitter especially, so it's been pouring rain all day, so if you guys hear like the rain in the background, I'm also sorry about that. I can't control the rain, but I will try to make my voice louder than like the background noise. Anyway, on to what the heck I'm reading today. So I'm reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. It just follows Cassian and Feyre, and it follows them after the war. So if you have not yet read ACOTAR, you will be pretty lost about some of the things that are talked about in this book. And Nesta and Cassian have a lot to confront with their past, especially Nesta because she becomes a High Fae. Nesta has a lot of hate towards the Fae already anyways, and now that she's High Fae, she has to grapple with becoming something that she once hated. Cassian has already a very complicated past anyway that we kind of get a glimpse in, I believe, in ACOTAR, but we don't know too much about him per se, so we'll get to dive more into his character in this book, which is really exciting for me because Cassian, my boo, like that's my favorite character in all of books, so I'm excited for his perspective. Nesta, I never had a strong opinion about her in the other books. I know most people hated her or like loved her. She really is rude, she really is mean, she's nasty, like she's just everything that you probably would hate in a character. But I for one was very curious about her in the last book, so I was excited for her perspective until I started reading her perspective. I am about 100 and some pages in. Right off the bat, we are given this description about Nesta's experience in the cauldron. It describes the darkness that she felt and that she saw while she was in the cauldron, the cold that was in there. Like she was physically cold, emotionally she felt nothing but anger, and that anger has just been brewing in Nesta for all of this time. I will say right now, I am hating Nesta, like, and I want to like her, so it's like it's a constant battle for me as I'm reading about her. All that's happened so far is we found out that Nesta is basically about to have an intervention on her. Nesta's living across the town basically, and Feyre and Rhysand are paying for her stay. They're paying for all of her stuff, so everything that she does out in town they're paying for. She runs their tabs up all the time. Feyre and all of them come together and basically tell Nesta, like, Nesta, either you're gonna get it together or you're gonna go back to the human land. Feyre gives her an ultimatum pretty much, and Feyre hates to do this because she feels like it's her sister and she tried to give her space and time to, you know, to grieve her, you know, her human life and to move forward, but she never did, and so she has no idea what else to do, and she feels like this is the only option that they have. So her options, she has two. Her first option is you go to the house, what was it called, the House of Wind, and you train with Cassian. You work in the library after you train with Cassian, and then you're free to do whatever you want in the city, or you go back to the human land. So Nesta does end up going to the House of Wind with Cassian, and she goes to the training sessions, but she does not train. She literally just sits on her butt and lets Cassian do everything. But this is how I feel about Nesta. I feel like you're being a clear jerk on purpose. It's like, and she mentions many times in this book so far that she knows she's being a jerk, she knows she's being rude, and yet she doesn't care. And it's frustrating because she's like, I know I should be doing this, or I should be saying that, but she won't do it. In my mind, I'm not vibing at all with Nesta. There was a scene in this book that made me so upset because I was just like, you know what? I had it up to here with Nesta. It's been very hard to read about her character, like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And more so because Cassian, you know, he is one of the head of the Illyrian. You know, he is one of the most fiercest and powerful Illyrians ever. And, you know, there are other people at the camp, the Illyrian camp, that he's training Nesta at, that are watching him. They're seeing him. They're judging him, of course. You know, they don't like him. Nesta's there, and Cassian's waiting for her to train with him. And he's like, get up. And she's like, I'm not getting up. And he's like, get up right now. And she doesn't do it. And in her mind, she's like, I know I should get up and not embarrass him in front of these Illyrians, but I don't want to. It made me mad because Cassian is very patient with her. He tries very hard to just continue to reach out to her, and she continues to just cut him down every single time. But it's really frustrating. Like, I don't know. And I wrote some notes in here to make sure I brought up everything, because there was a moment where Nesta was talking about her sister Feyre and was talking about how she can't believe that she went and got a new family with, you know, the inner circle and all that stuff, as if her life was so miserable with the Archerons. I'm like, it was miserable for Feyre. She was the youngest in the family, yet she was the one taking care of everyone. Looking at that scene with Nesta talking about her sister, and I was just like, Nesta, you don't understand that Feyre did all of this stuff, and even after you were the worst to her, she still did for you. But I will say though, in the sense of when it comes to depression, things like that, yes, your life can take a turn for what looks like the worst to people, because when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, and you will have vices. You will have things that you go to turn everything off and to try to feel something, you know? So, and that's what she does. So I guess we'll just see. I don't freaking know. So I'm gonna keep reading, so I'll be back. It's hard to understand her as a character because she's not relatable for me. But I will say that there have been some breakthroughs between Cassian and Nesta finally, because I told you guys earlier that Nesta would not train with Cassian and that she embarrassed him in front of the Illyrian warriors. But there's a backstory there. She didn't want to be embarrassed. She didn't want to be laughed at or mocked or made fun of. So she finally starts training with him. Thank God, because I just could not take it anymore. I was like, poor Cassian. But it wasn't so much she was trying to be difficult. She didn't want these men to see her as weak or to look down on her, and I get that. Okay, so just like a really fast update, because I'm on a live stream right now doing some reading spins with Mel and Christine and Kristen. Here's what I'm thinking, and Mel and I have talked about this too, how we both believe that Nesta is the goddess of death, because in this book so far, there's been many references to death, to darkness, to nothingness. Probably Nesta has some really dark power, and it's just festering. Like, we're just watching it fester. But there is a new character that's being discussed a lot too, and he is the god of death, and his name is Koshai, or Koshe, I don't know how to say his name. Part of me feels like somehow Nesta will fall into some kind of communication with them. I don't know, but it's really interesting. So like, I don't want to be crapping on Nesta this entire vlog. I'm very open, even when I go through trauma, even when I'm angry, even when I don't feel like being open or talking to people. I just naturally am that way. To see Nesta be angry and upset and even trying to work through her own trauma, to see her do that, but then to also see her break down other people who have also experienced trauma, I don't like it. It's not to say that she can't be redeemed or whatever, but it's like, I would never handle it that way. So of course it's like, Julie said, everyone's different, and yes, everyone is different and everyone handles trauma differently. But Nesta starts doing these like jabs at Elaine. Not only did Nesta say really hurtful things to her sister, she then proceeds to knock her down a couple pegs and then doesn't care. So like, it's just like, where do we draw the line at? One moment that I really love in particular, the fact that the priestess that work in the library have all been through some serious physical trauma. They are fearful, especially of men. And so Nesta asked Cassian, like, can they train with us? I like that Nesta wants to give these females like the chance to overcome their fear, but to also become strong. I'm gonna get back to reading because I want to get a good ways through tonight, so stay tuned. Excuse me. Okay, so much just freaking happened just now, but I gotta talk about this one thing that I just read that I didn't see coming. I didn't freaking see coming. Feyre is pregnant. No wonder. Like, I've been trying to figure out what's been going on with Rhysand and Feyre, because Rhysand in this book has been very tense. He's been very to himself. He's been unreadable by everyone. Wow, I was not expecting that. Oh my gosh, Cassian's like happy for them. Oh my gosh, that's so, he literally tackles Rhys. This is the cutest thing. A lot of angst, a lot of tension between Nesta and Cassian. I think that Cassian's good for Nesta because even though she challenges him a lot and makes even sometimes really low jabs at him, Cassian understands that she doesn't really mean it. Even if she did, he wants to see Nesta break through. I mean, I will say, like, we're finally getting to plots, because mind you, I'm on page like 2 something, almost page 300. And as far as a plot's concerned, nothing's really happened. There really hasn't been one so far. Okay, hi everybody. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I have no other major updates right now. This fight scene I just read was amazing. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So it's so hard to vlog this because I feel like every other page I have like a thought that I want to share with you guys. So of course most of this vlog has been me kind of crapping on Nesta. I won't say she doesn't have her moments, because she definitely does. Like I said, she really wants the priestess priestesses, the priestesses to get strong, you know, so they can defend themselves. I do, like I said, I feel like she has a part of her, or the side of her, that's very hateful. So a lot of self-loathing is going on, and a lot of just past trauma that has just not been dealt with at all whatsoever. There was a scene before that I just felt like it really, my heart went out to her. It was a scene where I believe she's talking to Cassian, and she's saying how if all of those priestesses in, you know, the library who work there, if they've been around for hundreds of years and are not past their trauma that happened hundreds of years ago, what hope is there for her? And when she said that, I was like, so she feels hopeless, and I do hate that for her. So it's been like a back and forth when it comes to my emotions and my feelings with this book and towards Nesta. I don't know if I'm enjoying this book or if I'm hating it. I don't know. Christine.
It's the way that I'm over here updating the vlog.
Same. Me too. And all you hear is Christine saying, y'all, it's so good. There are hi Mel's vlog.
Hi Jaleesa's vlog.
Wow.
You get my eyebrows.
Beautiful.
Say hi vlog. Say hi vlog.
Hi, vlog.
Nesta and Feyre's mother had like this whole plan concocted for how they were going to pretty much conquer everything, like how they were going to live their life and survive. You can't choose your parents and you can't choose your upbringing, but you can choose at some point to make strides, to be different, to do better. I think for Feyre, and maybe even Elaine, but mostly for Feyre, I think she wanted Nesta so badly to want to be a part of the inner circle, because let's be real here, we all love the inner circle. We think that's a great friend group, but that's not Nesta's friend group. But I'm loving how she's finding her place with Emery and with Gwen. I love Gwen with my whole heart. I'm loving the bond and the friendships that are organically happening versus saying like, hey, come join my friend group, Nesta, you know what I mean? Hopefully I start to feel better about this book. Gosh, it's making me so sad. All right, I'm gonna go wallow in these pages now. Hi, I'm back. Mel just finished the book and she's like freaking out. I'm all down for Nesta. Like, I think that her character is healing and it's beautiful. When I first found out this book was gonna be Nesta's point of view, I was like, okay, I want a redemption arc. And I was thinking last night, I was like, you know what? Nesta does not need a redemption arc, right? Because she hasn't really done anything wrong, so to speak. What she needs is a healing arc. I'm loving that she is kind of coming into her own sense of leadership. She didn't have that ability. I mean, she did, but she didn't come through when she was younger with her sister. She didn't come through and be the leader that she probably expected herself to become. But now she's giving herself another chance to do so, and she's doing it. I don't want to see that much romance, which is weird to say. I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about Nesta and Cassian as a couple. The smut scenes are A1. They're great. I don't care though about their romance. I don't even feel like it's a romance. I do think that they're mates. I think it snapped into place during the war in ACOTAR. I think that they're both not willing to admit it to each other right now, which is cool, which is fine. I don't even feel like they know each other like that. So it's like, I don't feel like the romance is even like, it's not it for me. Like, I'm not feeling it. The best part about this book that I'm enjoying though is definitely Nesta. There was a part I want to talk about really quick though, that how Feyre didn't know Elaine the way Nesta did, but that it hadn't been that way before Elaine had chosen Feyre, before Amren had chosen Feyre, and then it stops. And I wrote that, I was like, you know what, I think a lot of this resentment comes from this thing about being chosen for something. Because if you look back in time, their mother chose Feyre. Remember, she was chosen by her mother to be the one to take care of the family. Feyre was chosen as a curse breaker. She broke Tamlin's curse. Feyre was also chosen by Rhysand, by the mating bond. She looks at Feyre and she sees somebody who keeps getting chosen for everything, whereas Nesta has never been chosen, you know? And that can be really hard to see your sibling always chosen for everything and you feel like, why not me? Just when I thought Nesta was taking strides, she does the one thing I was hoping she was not going to do. So Nesta's like pissed off because Cassian slipped up and told her that him, along with the inner circle, voted on whether or not to tell Nesta about these 3 artifacts that let me back up. I'm not sure if I brought this up or not earlier. Nesta and Cassian went to a blacksmith. When she went there, she actually was able to kind of practice making swords and daggers and stuff like that. Well, she made 3 of them. Come to find out, she put her magic into these weapons. Nesta wasn't aware that she had put her magic into these weapons. People voted against her, aka Amren and Rhysand. And they were voting to decide if they should tell her about the power in the weapons. She goes and confronts Amren, like she's pissed off. And so then Feyre comes in all pregnant and stuff. Nesta's like, oh, you respect Amren and Rhysand the same way that your mate respects you? And Feyre's like, what are you talking about? Nesta really sits here and tells Feyre, Nesta's like, your mate didn't tell you that your baby's gonna kill you. And when I read that part, I got so pissed. It's one thing to be telling Feyre because you think she deserves to know, but you're only telling Feyre because you're angry. Like, she's lashing out because she's hurt and she wants to hurt someone else. I'm gonna keep reading and see how this plays out, but like, I really don't like that Nesta did that. Okay. I'm trying like not to get emotional on this like portion of the vlog, but up until this point I really could not relate to Nesta. Okay, so I'm on page 500, so I'm gonna be done reading for the night. But basically Cassian's pissed, like he's not really talking to her. I understand Nesta in this moment because she is literally like, there's no, like, what's the point? Like, what is her purpose? Why is she even here? Like, and I read those lines and my heart just like, it kind of broke. Definitely it softened how I feel towards her, because although I'm not like her in how she handles her trauma, this is the one moment where I'm just like, we're here. I'm like feeling a lot of emotions with this book. Right now I'm just feeling like this book is just like, it's just traumatizing. I don't even feel like I'm reading a freaking fantasy book, and like I don't know if I'm like angry right now, or I don't know how I'm feeling right now, but I'm not happy. I wasn't expecting all of this to be happening in this book, so it's just been an emotional roller coaster. I'm gonna end the vlog for today though because I'm tired. Okay, this is gonna be a real quick clip. I'm on page 608. It's the way that this is probably the most stressful book I have literally ever read in my life. What the freak am I reading at this point? Let me just back up slightly. So the Night Court is trying to stay aligned with Eris, who is Baron's son. Eris is interested in Nesta, almost a favor. He wants to marry her. Nesta is just like, you know, she's in this space where she'll do whatever she needs to do to save the people she loves, but also like she's still working through her self-hate. So it's like, they just celebrated the freaking winter solstice. Y'all know they give gifts every year at the winter solstice. And first of all, Asriel, my sweet king, he literally got her a freaking gift, and it's a little fae light that she can use while she's reading her books. And then Cassian, his sweet self too, bought her this like orb, this little magical orb that plays music for her. So sweet. So he's like looking at her, loving that she's reacting and she's loving it, and then she's just like, I can't take this back, return it. He's like, why? And she literally says to him that she's gonna marry Eris. I'm over here like, what the freak? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're not considering saying yes. And he was like, I see. I get a little too close and you shove me away again. Back to where it's safe. Better to marry a viper like Eris and be with me. She's like, I'm not with you. I'm effing you. He says, the only thing fit for a bastard born brute, right? And she's like, I didn't say that. So they're getting into like this little fight, mind you. Because Nesta is speaking from a place of hatred, a place of she just doesn't feel worthy and doesn't feel like that. She doesn't feel like she's good enough for Cassian. And then the next thing I know, they're just making out and they're about to have sex. I'm so confused. What is happening? Like, I feel like I'm watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm stressed out. This book is literally doing a number on me. I'm just like, when is this gonna be over? Greetings and salutations. This is a quick little tidbit really fast. I was always very much team Asriel and Elaine, but I can't even lie to you. After this little section I just read, I love the banter between Asriel and Gwen. I love that. Like, something about a Valkyrie and a Shadow Singer being together sits right with me. I feel like Nesta, Gwen, and Emery are the Valkyrie. They're the new Valkyrie, you know, reborn, all that kind of good stuff. Meaning they would never have to go through the blood rite. Tell me why Devlin kidnaps Nesta, Gwen, and Emery and makes them participate in the blood rite after they said they didn't want to. During the blood rite, any Illyrian that goes in and winnows in to remove someone from the blood rite will be sentenced to execution. If Cassian, Asriel, and Rhys went to go save them, they would all be killed. These two fools, aka Rhysand and Feyre, they made a death bargain. The bargain is, if one loses their life, the other one does. And so does their baby. What the freak is that? What kind of sick Romeo and Juliet mess is this? Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. I'm like embarrassed. Nesta freaking Archeron is all I can say. Her sister was dying. Feyre was dying, the baby was dying, and because of the bargain, Rhysand was about to die. And Nesta pleads, she puts on the mask, she puts on the crown, and she plays the harp, and she says to all three of them to the cauldron, she says that she wants to give it all back. And she's like, I want to give back what I took. And she gives it all back to the cauldron, and in turn, everyone lives. Rhysand lives, the baby lives, and Feyre. And all I can think is like the pure selflessness that Nesta showed in that moment. I just never thought she would ever become that person, but she was always that person. She just, you guys saw the journey she went through. Yeah. Okay, so welcome back everyone. You just saw me crying a hot freaking mess. So in this portion of the video, it's gonna be a very spoiler-free discussion, but also just to wrap up my whole thought about the book. I finally finished A Court of Silver Flames. I heavily tabbed this book, like, y'all see this? So let's start my rating. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I want to say, at this point, I love Nesta. After taking the whole day today and reflecting on the story, I really do appreciate the journey that she went through. I feel like the journey that she went through was really beautiful, watching her go from someone who was in pain and angry to someone who became vulnerable and then became strong and empowered, and then at the end became selfless. It was a beautiful wrap up to her story. I think that SJM did a great job of portraying trauma and how people work through the different stages of their trauma. I liked the character development with Nesta and with the priestesses. I love that. I mean, to be honest with you, the 3.5 stars strictly comes from the fact that I enjoyed watching Nesta grow. SJM's writing style is so clear and it's so intricate, and she does a great job of writing characters that you just have strong reactions to. To be honest with you, there isn't much that I like. Right off the bat, you know, this is a long freaking book. This book is almost 800 pages long, and I feel like it didn't have to be that long. For this book specifically, the reason why I believe the plot lacked here is because SJM put so much emphasis on Nesta and her journey that the plot just suffered. Unfortunately, when it came to their romance, I just didn't believe it. The thing about them is that they have great physical chemistry on paper. It just, when it came to on the inside, it faltered until the very end. Lastly, the pace of this book was not it. Nothing really occurred in this book until about the last 200 pages, where things picked up, and every page something is just really interesting. And the last 200 pages are definitely a 5-star moment. I hated how long it took to get there. I don't like books paced like that. So I mean, a solid book. Is 3.5 is pretty good. I would still recommend it to people if you want to read it. That's pretty much it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this reading vlog. I had a fun time actually recording this because I went through so many emotions, and I have no idea about any of you, but if you did, please let me know below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this book, because I have so many theories for like the next book, and it was a time, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in my very next one.